What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Red Room Podcast. Today, I have Scotts Valley's #1 pizza dude, Matt Driscoll. How you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so a little history about this pizza spot. So this was originally Tony and Alba's, and as a kid growing up, I would always go after the soccer games right across from Sky Park, and it was such a fun place to go to. And then they closed down,
right?
And the place just remained dormant for a really long time. And then all of a sudden, you come in, and the pizza, by the way, is amazing. Do we have that, by the way? The pizza?
Oh.
Is it around? Yeah. Okay. It's coming. But it's amazing to have the spot back, because you would hit the movie theaters too,
right?
And you know, go to the pizza place before or after, and it's great to have something in there.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Right, thank you. So Matt, show everyone what you guys are about. Let's kind of dive into it. So
what do we got here? What do we have here?
So good, everyone.
Oh, yeah. Traveled from Scotts Valley.
Yeah. Look at that.
So we got the maple special, and then the Pepinmore.
Here,
yeah.
Hold it up to the camera. So okay, there we go. So it's a little in focus. All right, so the top one is the
Pepinmore, which is the pepperoni, sausage, caramelized onions, whipped ricotta, and then we hit it with some fresh basil at the end.
That looks great.
Bottom is the maple special, which is our signature maple sauce.
Yeah.
Which is like a secret ingredient we've had for a long time.
Ooh, the Krabby Patty secret formula.
Right? Yeah, so bacon, sausage, chicken, maple sauce, and serrano peppers.
This is great.
Yeah, so those are our two biggest sellers, so we figured we'll just combine them one pizza.
Perfect. So we're going to eat pizza while we're doing the podcast because there's no other way here. Let's dig in. Which one do you recommend that I go for first?
Either or? Yeah.
All right.
You do maple, I'll do the... There's our Detroit style.
All right, Matt.
All right.
Cheers.
Here
we go. This is amazing. Okay. So let's dive into it. Why pizza? What was that moment where you're like, I want to do this? Has it always just been a thing? Well, let's start from the beginning.
I've been doing pizzas almost 30 years. And
that's why it's so good.
Yeah, I'm originally from Detroit. So when my family moved us out from Michigan, we lived in San Jose, and then I went to high school there and everything. And when I graduated in '96, my parents moved us to Aptos.
Okay.
So they had a Domino's out there. So I just needed to get a summer job. So it was a Domino's pizza, which became Pizza One. And then, so it was Domino's. And then I learned to make pizzas there back in 1997. I think I was 19 years old.
Yeah.
So I hit it off as Domino's is very mechanical. You got to, work fast and work almost militant.
Yeah.
So it was fun to do the dough, and they taught you how to hand slap and everything. And then from there, I don't know, I liked it. And then.
So are you actually all of that? I don't know the terms for it. So what's hand slapping? What's
there's
let's get technical about it.
If there's the hand slap, the back and forth, and then the kind of toss in the air, how you learn. And then there's, dough acrobatics, where they have dough acrobatic people doing it. And there's some, people out there, they're very well trained at the pizza acrobatics.
Yeah.
They even have competitions in Vegas that, they do all the dough acrobatics and they compete against each other. And I haven't competed in a while, but I got a few tricks.
Wait, you used to compete?
Yeah, a long time ago.
So what's the, break that down for me? So do you show up and what do you do? How do the competitions work?
There's the dough acrobatics, and you pick a song, and then people have routines, and so you'll go on stage, and when I did it, there wasn't so many people at the Pizza Expo, but now tens of thousands of people show up, so very big thing now, and you just have a routine, 3 to 5 minutes or less, even for my case it was probably less, but you go out there, just do your tricks, and then wow the crowd, and I think it's great. I love it. I love going to pizza places, and if I could see people spinning dough like that, and then they're the real deal.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
I know,
that's so cool.
Yeah.
So you go. So you're doing that. You're at Domino's. Where do we go from here?
So Domino's, let's see, from Domino's, we went to Domino's for a couple years, then nothing for a couple years. And then I went to, I had a neighbor that took over a Straw Hat in Aptos.
Okay.
So he took over that. And then I worked for him for a couple years. And then after Straw Hat, yeah. And then a couple years, and then some time went by, and then Pizza My Heart, I was there for a little bit. And then from Pizza My Heart, I went to Whole Foods Market for about 8 years. Where did I go from? Yeah, Whole Foods Market, and then and then various other places after that. I think I did stints with Sleight of Hand Pizza, Phantom. I did a stint. Then I went to Google for an entrepreneur program for a food truck to build my own pizza food truck. So they had an incubator program over there.
They have Google has a food truck program?
Well, they did. It was off the grid up in SF.
Okay.
And then they were partners with Google. And then what they would do is, run these food trucks for all the Googlers. So there'd be anything from like sushi to tacos to anything. And then my concept was going to be the Detroit style pizza. So it was an incubator program for 2 years. And then I did it. And then they're like, you got to get accepted. You got to turn in these applications. And then they, it took a very long process. It took about 8 months for them to get back to me. Be like,
wow,
we want to accept you, because they only accepted like 5 or 6 people a year or something.
Whoa.
So they were interested in our brand and, our pizza. And then, I did it for about a year, and then COVID hit. So I was just about to get my truck too. And then COVID hit, and then everything kind of, went out the window at that point. And then we're doing like Zoom meetings here and there, because we didn't know when COVID, we were all, hey, you guys are coming back. We only thought we were going to be gone for 2 weeks. But, it turned out to be a
little bit longer.
Yeah. So I think Google, was like, hey, maybe this isn't going to be so viable for us anymore. And then the program, it was called instructional. So after, say about 8 or 9 months, they ceased to exist, that program. And then, then I think Off the Grid, I'm not sure that they're doing anymore. I think Bon Appetit is now taking over the food truck program there.
Yeah.
But that's what it was. So I would have almost got my truck. I okayed my wrap and everything. So it was like $10,000 to like put a wrap on these very nice trucks that Google owns.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was that close. And then I'm kind of happy it didn't get wrapped, because I would hate to have seen it sit in the parking lot and like not be able to use it, So, there's 300-400 people a day we'd be servicing. So it would have been huge for us. But if I would have gone that route, then who's to say I wouldn't be doing this, venture in Scotts Valley. So,
yeah. So through all these different places that you've like worked at for pizza, Pizza My Heart is obviously way different from Domino's, which is different from all these things. Mm-hmm. So was this always kind of like, this hits home, this is what I wanted to do? Or were you, or like, what led you to, is it just because you were born and raised in Detroit that you wanted to do this?
I think I always say like pizza kept finding me.
Yeah.
So there'd be like what I have since, because I played in a lot of bands and music, so I used to tour a lot.
Wait, that's a whole other conversation. You do music too?
Yeah.
That's so cool. I sing as well. I'm a musician as well. That's cool. Yeah. Right on.
So in between my time with making pizza jobs, I'd be touring. So that's where there's like some gaps in the history of my pizza making. And then, I'd go on tour, I'd come back, get another pizza job. And I don't know, there's nothing like, I don't know, I did construction for a little bit, and pizza was always, I don't know, just something I always felt I really shined at. And, and then various places, you get to like kind of create your own things. And some places are like, no, we're cookie cutter corporate. Like you got to follow these recipes. And I don't know, for me, like pizza making you could do whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's like sandwiches in a sense. Like you just, and there's a lot of creative pizza makers out there, like just doing amazing things. And the sky's the limit. It is delicious. I mean, I never get tired of eating pizza. Like I don't eat as much as I used to.
Yeah.
But anytime, one of our team members is like, "Here, try this new pizza I came up with," and I'm just like,
that's so okay. So when you let them like just come up with, and then do you put those on the menu if you're like, whoa, that's like really good?
Yeah, we do. Well, we have little, by our slice station, we have chef special signs.
Yeah.
So we'll put those out, and people are like, hey, what's on this? And we'll be like, just the weird, we just came up with them with like a fried ham and like a, pickled pineapple and
what?
Yeah, just weird stuff. So we're like, we just let them play around. That's how I was like when I worked at like certain pizza places, they had all their own recipes. But when I worked at Whole Foods, I opened the one in Santa Cruz, and it was a little bit slower. So
no way.
So I got to all I did was just kind of experiment. Because at Whole Foods you can transfer product from other departments.
Yeah.
So you go to the cheese department, get specialty cheeses, or the meat department, or seafood or whatever. So during that time, I got to really get creative, and then that's when I I wrote down so many recipes and all this stuff, and then which kind of later led into the actual brand of the pizza series. So
where did you come up with the name, the pizza series?
So it was based on like all my documentation of coming up with creations.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would write on napkins. I'd be like, oh my God, that's amazing. And, cell phones weren't a big thing back then, like text was, but camera phones weren't really a big thing. So I have all these papers or napkins, whatever I could write down recipes on, I would write them on.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I got like a flip camera phone when I was working at Whole Foods in, I don't know, 2010 or 11 or something. And then I was able to start taking photos, and I was like, oh, I don't have to write down these recipes anymore.
Yeah, you just
I can snap a photo. And then a few years goes by, and I'm like, God, I have maybe thousands of pizza photos. And so that's, Instagram was, I guess, pretty much a thing, but not so much a thing.
Yeah.
So I started
just kind of getting its boots.
Yeah. So I had my personal Instagram, and I shared some photos and like series, and I was like, oh, pizza series #1, pizza series #2, and then like, oh man, there's so many. I was like, I can't just overload my personal account. So I was like, oh, I'll just start my own Instagram page. And that was back in 2014. So almost 11 years that we came up with the Pizza Series brand. And
wow.
So I called it the Pizza Series, and I don't even think hashtags were a thing back then.
Yeah.
So I didn't use any hashtags, and then hashtags became a thing. And when I started doing the Pizza Series, like business Instagram, then hashtags became a thing. And then people started like really being drawn to it, like, oh wow, great pizza. And I just kind of just took it from there. And like, if you scroll to the very bottom of our Instagram, like you'll see like the beginning of it. Yeah. I think it was like the first 10 pizzas were like all these vegan pizzas. I still do. I love making vegan creations. And, but yeah, like the first 10 was like these vegan creations I did way back when. And, and you could slowly see the progress, like through all the years, like how much better, like, the angles look, and the pizzas look better, and the photography looks better, and the cameras are better. And so,
that's so cool.
Yeah. So it's a long story, because people are always like, oh, what's the Pizza Series? Like, and I was like, oh, well, it's a little tricky story, but in a nutshell, that's basically it right there.
So how do you end up taking over the Tony and Alba's location spot right there next to the movie theater in Scotts Valley?
After COVID had happened, it was always our dream for years and years to do a pizza truck. So, the entrepreneur program with Google was like, that was a big thing. And like, it was great. And I loved that food truck life and getting it to work on those food trucks, and then servicing, going out to Google and servicing 300 people a day. It was like, it was a little hectic at first, but then you get in a rhythm. You're like, this is great. Like, so that happened. So COVID hit, and then the program ceased to exist. So we were like, okay, well, what's the next step? We're like, okay, let's do like some events, like farmers markets, or so we reached out to a few people, and then the farmers market on the west side, they were interested in us doing like every Wednesday or something like that. And then Midtown, they started doing the Midtown Fridays. So we were gonna do every Friday there to do that. And then basically we needed a prep kitchen to prep all the food, because you need to, as far as like food safety and all that. So you got to have a prep kitchen to produce everything to do these events. And so we went, found one out at the Enterprise Tech Center, the old Borland building. Yeah. So we went out there to do all the prep and everything. And then the owner was like, oh, hey, we were doing, I was like, oh, we're going to do these pop-ups for pizza pop-ups. And he's like, oh, well, here, let me show you. And he's like, oh, they have a whole cafeteria, and this place was a ghost town. Like I'm not sure if people really ever existed at the Borland building, but
it was a big building like during the .com boom, and so like everyone was there, and now it's like the only thing I can think of that's like there is like the club, the workout, and those
exactly.
The gym.
Yeah, that was right above it. And then he goes and he shows us the cafeteria, and I was like, in my head I was like, oh god, this looks like the micro kitchens at Google. And he's like, oh look, like and there's a pizza station. I was like, oh, got a pizza station? Like, so
Yeah.
that takes me back to all my experience with Whole Foods. Cause you know, I would run and train, you know, people how to run the pizza stations. At Whole Foods. And
so you're seeing all familiar equipment
it's
and everything like that.
He's got the counter, he's got the oven. And I was like, okay. He's like, well, you know what? He's like, you know, I'm not going to tell you to run your business, but if you want to, you know, do pop-ups out of this building, then yeah. I was like, okay. So we're like, all right, let's run pop-ups out of here. And then we started, and literally from the first pop-up, like we hit the ground running, and it just got busier and busier and busier. And
yeah.
then,
so you're driving traffic over to Borland.
Oh yeah.
essentially.
That's
like, so cool.
And it was like, people would be like, oh my God. And like, sometimes the lights would be off outside, and they're like, oh, like, it's so scary to get in here. It's like, but people would be like, man, but once you get that pizza, like,
yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth the adventure.
Yeah. And then, we, one of our customers, was part of the Ow family.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Ben Ow had contacted me, and he's like, oh, hey, like, we love your pizza. You know, we get it every week at your pop-ups. Like, oh, excuse me. What are your thoughts on doing a restaurant? And we're always like, oh yeah, like, of course we'd love to do a restaurant. And, he's like, oh yeah, it's over in the Kings Village shopping center. And I was like, in my head, I was like, the only pizza place is Tony and Alba's. I didn't know anything was going on. Like, they were going to, like, you know, stop business or whatever. And he's like, oh yeah, like, you know, if you'd like to, like, I'd like to talk to you more about it. And like, all right, you know, so we kind of went over there a couple times and checked everything out. And, you know, I like to get a visualization on, like, when I'm walking in. Then the first time when I walked in, Tony Alba's, like, it didn't immediately come to me. I was like, I know, because we knew we were going to do a restaurant somewhere, but they had a lot going on. And I just, like, mentally, I was like, I'm not picturing it. And then a few months went by after that. And, you know, he's like, oh, you know, come check it out again. I did. And then it just clicked in my head, and, you know, we were looking at it, and yeah, I was like, all right, you know what, let's do it. You know,
so what when did you open at the Kings Village location? We
signed the lease in 2022, around 2022, 3 years ago.
Well, happy birthday.
Yeah, around this time. So we signed the lease, and then we spent a good, which was that downtime that you saw, was probably, I don't know, 8 to 10 months renovating. And then we gutted the place.
Yeah.
So gutted it, you know, kind of, you know, rebuilt everything. And, you know, we pretty much needed to get the kitchen part open. So we started generating revenue to, like, continue. It's 4,000 square feet of property. So it was a big restaurant to take on. And we took on the challenge. We're like, 4,000 square feet. All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
Our first restaurant. And, you know, with all the experience I've had in the restaurant industry and pizza making, it just felt right. And, you know, so we did it and renovated it, and, you know, opened the kitchen. It was the first thing we opened. We did that for a few months to generate the revenue to put back into getting the dining rooms open. And, you know, we didn't have a whole lot of capital in the beginning to just jump into it.
Yeah.
You know? But I was like, all right, well, let's start like the pop-up system like we did at the Borland building. And then, you know, it just took off from there. So we're like, all right, now let's open the downstairs. Let's open the patio. We got this. Let's do that. You know, and we got the upstairs that we're renovating. So yeah.
Yeah. No, that's exciting. So when was so the idea of having your own restaurant, has that always been like that's always been a thing? Long time. So how cool is that to, like, see kind of like all the trials and tribulations and journeys that you've kind of, like, gone through to get to this moment, and now you just won best pizzeria in Scotts Valley and, like, Santa Cruz. You know, like, that's, you know, like, that's so cool. That's awesome.
I think when I lived in Aptos, and my neighbor, you know, he was like, oh, it was kind of weird what happened with that story. I never really spoke to my neighbor much. Yeah. And he had just taken over the Straw Hat Pizza. And what happened was, we lived in the flats in Aptos, and then a car had actually crashed through my house.
What?
Yeah. And I was like freaking out. I was like, oh my God. And I was like outside.
Were you home?
Yeah, I was home. So
like, and you're just like hanging out, and a car just straight up drives through your house.
Yeah. Cause I lived on Treasure Island at Spreckles. Yeah. So you hear it all the time. There's just a 3-way stop right there, and cars are always like, not, you know, kind of this, you know, just flying through it.
I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah. And then,
wild.
I was upstairs, you know, and then eating food, and then I heard, and I was like, oh, somebody, there's an accident. And then I jump up and I look out the window, and I could actually see the car coming towards the house, because it had hit a car in front of it, and it ricocheted that car into the house across the street, bounced off that, and then flew into our house. So
like, did it end up like in your living room?
Yeah. Yeah.
You see the videos of that stuff from people. Like, I mean, what a trip.
The ironic thing is that we had this elevated curb and it hit the curb and like kind of flew over our lawn.
No.
Yeah. So then it landed like in the front door garage area, just totally totaled it. And then later when the fire department came and restructured everything, they probably restructured the garage. And they're like, oh, you can't stay here tonight. And then we were kind of cleaning some stuff up. And then the license plate had landed in the back bathroom down the hallway. I was like, yeah, from the front of the car. And then
wow.
I looked at it and said, I don't know if it said like North Carolina or something, but it said the home of aviation.
Huh.
So I was like, whoa, this car flew into our house and the license plate says home of aviation. But I forgot which state it was, but I still have to this day. And then, so at that point I went outside and I was like frantic and my neighbor who had come out and, he's like, oh, hey, is everything all right? I was like, yeah. And, we're just talking. He pulls me in the house. He's like comforting me. And then, I get to say, he's like, oh, hey, I heard you took over the Straw Hat Pizza. I was like, oh, yeah. He's like, well, you need a job? I was like, oh, yeah, I used to work at the Domino's and, I know how to make pizza. And then, so I got that job and
wow.
So that's when I decided I wanted to do a restaurant because it was a Straw Hat and it was much like a Tony and Alba's, like a lot of like kind of old world, like, like stuff like 49ers of the 80s. And so we had renovated his place, just basically, strip the walls, paint them white and new upholstery and all that stuff. And changed the recipe and eventually the Straw Hat wasn't too happy with us. So they were like, you're not falling in line with the brand. So that brand had ceased to work with us anymore. So we're like, all right, that's all right. We'll call it something on our own and, redevelop the recipes. And we did. And then people were very receptive and they were like, wow, this is really great pizza. And then I started making this is 20 years ago.
Yeah. Wow.
So 2004.
Yeah.
From that point on and, just changing everything was like, he kind of gave me the free rein. He's like, oh, dude, like, you know what you're doing? Like, make this place a hit. And, we did for the most part. And then after that, I was like, oh, I got to go on tour. He's like, I went on tour, like, didn't go back.
Oh, so you were gigging while you were doing the pizza thing.
Yeah.
What was the band? What was the name of your band?
That time, Makara they were like these old kind of like hardcore punk bands, but
that's cool.
Makara, Ruheda,
I gotta listen to some of your stuff. Are you like, are you like on like Spotify or anything?
Yeah.
I have to check it out. Send me a link. I'll have to check it out. That's awesome.
I think 2004 I was on tour with my friend's band. They're called The Locust. They're from from San Diego. They're pretty big. They they were on Epitaph and Bad Religions. The guitar player runs that label and everything. So
cool.
Yeah, I toured with The Locust and bunch of bands. Cattle Decapitation, Blood Brothers.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Wow. But like the whole home thing, that's scary, man. I mean, it led you to go into something else.
Do say that? I say, I don't know. Cause there's like a definitive moment in a lot of people's lives where they're like, you're like, oh, I don't know if I would have taken this road or taken that road.
Yeah.
Like, I really feel that. I don't know what made the car come through the house, but it made me go talk to my neighbor. It made me be like, hey, let me work at your pizza place. And then from there it was,
Isn't that weird how life just like works out in ways that you'd have no idea. And then it's just like, boop, there you are.
I don't even know. I mean, I definitely would have been, making a lot of pizza at home. Yeah. But music too. But I don't know. Just something from that point on and, seeing his restaurant, like, he's just like, dude, like take over and, like, all right. Yeah. So we did. And, I like when, the guests are happy, they come in and be like, wow, that's amazing. And that kind of drives you even more to like, not only keep your standard up, but the consistency and like want to even do better. Like, I love our pizza, but everything can always be better.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's the pizza series, right? It's kind of like what you're saying with like your Instagram, how the picture started off and then eventually you started, it's like, it's that whole thing. Life's a journey, man, Yeah. So let me ask you this. Do you have any like secret recipe like things? You know how like Starbucks and In-N-Out has like, they have like secret like, things. They have like the Flying Dutchman, which is like a secret menu
like
item.
Like an off menu kind of thing?
Yeah, do you have off menu, secret menu things that you're like, you have to be a local to really know?
I think we will because you try a lot of things and, as much as you think it's delicious. Some people it might not hit on a lot of people, Yeah. So, not so much a secret menu at the moment, but I think over time, because we have so many recipes, like, I think you want to like retire some but not retire them, because people, because the second you retire, people are like, what happened to the
Bring it back.
Yeah, what happened to the fried calamari buffalo pizza? You're like,
you make a fried calamari buffalo pizza?
Oh no, not yet. That sounds delicious. I was like, that's what it is. Like, and I think too, when you've made pizza for so many years, like, just topping combinations come into your mind, and you'll know, like, oh, okay, that probably won't taste good with that, or like, oh, that'd be killer with that, and I like a lot of sweet and savory and spicy all together.
Yeah,
much like the maple special, and a lot of people haven't had maple on pizza, and people seem to love it. So
yeah. It's that outside of the box type thinking. My pops, he was one of those COVID sourdough people. Did you see that? They're always posting it. Yeah. So he was one of those guys, and he got like really good at it to the point where like I'm like, Dad, make a thing. I want And so Halloween came around one time, and he was doing all of the Mediterranean style and the raisin and cinnamon and stuff. And I was like sitting there, I'm like, can you make like a pumpkin spiced one, but you have like the pumpkin seeds like in the sourdough too? And like he made it, and it was amazing. Oh, nice. You know what I mean? I'm like, but that's you with the pizza. So do you now? Is everything from scratch, like the dough and everything like that?
Make everything fresh.
That's cool.
Yeah. And because you get excited about it, like much like your father. It's like, it's not, I think a lot of people overthink things a lot, and it's like, oh, just make it. Just if it sucks, it sucks. Now not to add so much water, less salt next time, or more salt, or whatever it be. You just practice and experiment so much, and then it just kind of comes to you like, hey, that clicks. Like, ooh, that was really good, and you're like, okay, well, that's what we're going to put on the menu, and just have fun. Just like I said, just make the weirdest crap possible.
Yeah. You just like you never know.
Yeah, think outside the box, and I feel like Pizza Series has much been like that, and we'd like back at Whole Foods, we used to make tons of breakfast pizzas and just crack tons of eggs on pizzas, and not like
sounds good.
Yeah, we're not reinventing pizza by any means, but just anything goes. Like
breakfast pizza sounds so good. Why does it sound? What were you doing? What was what were you putting on it?
The great thing, Whole Foods back then, since they had an endless amount of food,
you could just like walk around and
So when I was working in the prepared foods section, they had breakfast bars.
Yeah.
So I go over and then grab eggs and bacon and sausage and all this, and then one I did probably was my most elaborate pizza to date. Probably wasn't a Detroit style, but it was like a sheet pan style pizza.
Yeah.
And I cracked like 18 eggs or something on it. Yeah. And then it took me like 45 minutes to like really make, and then really, eggs are tricky because you don't want to like put them on too soon because they'll overcook. You don't want to put them too late.
So you got because you have to kind of like pull it out and then stick them on and then and time it. Right.
Yeah. Because if you put it on too late and already cooked pizza, you think the eggs would cook on it, but it won't. They'll just have like runny yolk and so I did the eggs, like tons of. I got to show you the photos, but
absolutely. Send them to me. I'll put them up here so we can like check them out.
So did that, and then I did. They had a sausage gravy, so I did a sausage gravy stuffed crust around the border, and like I think each slice was probably maybe 2,000 calories.
Yeah,
it was very rich.
There's your meal for the day.
Yeah, and I was like, and I made one, and it sold like instantly, and then they're like, "Oh, can we get more?" I was like, "That took like 40 minutes to make just the one." I was like,
"Yeah,
I don't know if it'd be very viable. Like, if you don't want to have production, like start making backups and have the dough ready to go. Like, we can figure something out." But
yeah,
I made 2 more after that, and I was like, "That's a lot."
What are so you did breakfast pizzas. I was in Disneyland just recently, and we went into Goofy's Kitchen. That was like a childhood thing. They have like all of these like dessert pizzas now where they're putting like Nutella on them with like Mickey Mouse chocolate chips. I'm just like, I had one and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna end up like a diabetic. That's great. Do you have any like dessert pizzas?
We have recipes. Nutella's like a really big main thing,
Yeah.
You get there like some, peanut butter, kind of put that in a mix, but with peanut butter, you got to be careful because, a lot of people are allergic to nuts. So especially my father's allergic to peanuts. So you'd really have to like really dial in a, safe, secure cleaning station to like, to do the peanut butter, but the Nutella and fresh strawberries or homemade whipped cream or caramelized bananas, apples. We're gonna do these deep fried dessert calzones.
Ooh.
So yeah, you do like s'mores. I think we're gonna do the s'mores with the Nutella, like the marshmallow, and we're gonna do like program has a recipe for homemade fudge, which is delicious.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So if we don't do the Nutella, then we'll probably put the homemade fudge in there.
That sounds so good, Matt.
Drop it in the deep fryer and then.
That sounds so good.
Yeah, we're big on the deep fried calzones too.
Yeah.
It's an off menu thing right now with our calzones.
There we go. Off. What's the name of it? What do we? If people wanted to go in and order
deep fried, I think I want to say, I don't know if the Italian words are like panzerotti, maybe.
Yeah.
But there's an Italian for
all the secret stuff's here. You got to watch it. If you're this deep into the episode, this is where all the hidden stuff is.
Just fry all your dough. It's like fried dough's a hit. Like you can't, everything fried. I don't know. There's something about saturated fat that just changes the chemistry of dough and deliciousness. And if you love donuts, then you're going to love a donut pizza.
A donut pizza? Oh my, that sounds so good.
It could totally be achieved.
Yeah. So what I found as of late, probably over the last like 4 or 5 years, is air fryers came out.
Yeah.
And when everyone's like, you first get one, the first thing people say is like, have you like put your pizza from the day before in the air fryer? I was like, no, I just normally microwave it. They're like, do it.
Yeah.
And it was a game changer because the microwave pizza comes out all droopy and it's just like whatever. But you put it in the air fryer and it's like it's brand spanking new. And I was like, oh my God, what is this? This is amazing. What are your thoughts on like, do you do any like air fry?
Yeah, we have an air fryer. We do like our not at the house. We do it at the house.
Yeah, at the house.
If we do a commercial air fryer, but basically I think the air fryers are just kind of like micro convection ovens. Yeah. Because basically it's just, it's a burner. Mm-hmm. I think they're made like your, the old electric ovens. They have that and they just have a fan that just kind of blows that air and circulates it. So it's really just about getting, the heat elements all around whatever you're cooking. So so it's like a, like a toaster with like a blower. Yeah. So we have our convection ovens at work, and we, do a lot of product in that. And everything crisp, really nice. And it's all about kind of, radiant heat from like old kind of ovens. Like it's not there, but the fact that like, all that circulation of, continuous heat, like just does something like every aspect or the food you're cooking, so, wings, like, and
the wings. Yeah.
But as well as delicious all that is, I don't know, something about frying food.
The deep fry. Yeah.
It's not the healthiest, but
it's where it's at though. You can't beat it. In Disneyland, they had a deep fried corn dog that was wrapped in French fries that I had. Yeah. And it was amazing. I haven't had a corn dog in like a minute. And I was like, they're like, oh, do you want the normal one or the one wrapped in French fries? I'm like, I want the one wrapped in French fries, please. It was just absolutely great.
Or like the corn dogs at the boardwalk.
Oh yeah.
We haven't had one in years, but I remember those were like big.
And like, the falafel cakes with all the stuff on. Oh my gosh.
Take the corn dog and dip it in the falafel batter.
Yep.
It's delicious.
No, so I have another question. So going off of the air frying stuff. So I don't know the difference. I'm sure there is a taste thing, but when you have like a brick oven pizza versus like your conventional like oven, like how different styles of cooking, obviously, but like what are you like different taste elements or like, is the bread different or like what, can you walk me through like the differences?
Yeah, usually it depends on the flour you're going to use. Yeah. So, like 00 flour is great for higher temperatures and faster. So if you're doing like the wood fire ovens, you want like a
00 flour?
Yeah, for like Napolitana style pizzas.
I've only known of just like I thought flour was flour. Like, they have they have different types of. I'm learning something new here, folks. So 00 flour for
wood fire because it can take those high temperatures and it cooks fast. I do have experience in the wood fire where we definitely want to do a wood fire oven. I've been thinking about it for years. Yeah. So. And I think the flour tier, I think it was like pastry flour, all-purpose bread flour, and then you get your high gluten flours. Mm-hmm. And, we have the deck oven, around 550 or something, and where you do the high gluten flour in that. Yeah. And then, it's like the New York style, cook it nice and delicious. And,
Yeah.
And it's all trial and error too, It's like,
it's all about the experimenting. I remember I went to my first time going to New York and I had a New York slice of pizza. And I forget the name of the place, but it was literally like the slice you had to hold it up with like 2 hands.
Yeah. Oh man.
So good.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah. And I think I like the brick oven. We have a Montague, it's gas, but
yeah,
something about the Hearthstones, like, everyone's like, oh, these, and everyone's kind of going to the electric. And I think a lot of places are being forced to go to the electric brick ovens.
Yeah.
And, I did one. We had a operation at Stanford, and they had the electric ones, and thought they were good. I thought I don't know. To me, it kind of like dried it out more for some reason. I don't know. The pizza was great.
I believe it. Yeah.
I'm sure there's like, because those run on burners. Like just picture like an electric oven again at like your house.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the big giant version of that. And I know people might scold me for this, but to me, it just felt like made my pizzas a little more dry. And
no, you've been in the business for, a long time. So I trust you, you know what I mean? You're the expert in it. So yeah, no, I that would make sense.
But you could counterbalance too. It's like, okay, well, if I felt my pizzas are dry, maybe I should put more, water into my dough and have, my hydration.
So
levels up
you have to like
more,
almost tweak.
Yeah, with everything.
Tweak the ingredients per oven too, almost, right? That's interesting.
There's a whole science to the whole, dough making and, hydration levels and salt content and,
So because this is, so over the last, again, handful of years here, this has become a real big topic in just the bread world in general, the gluten-free folk.
Uh-huh.
Are you do you have gluten-free dough? Have you?
We had the cauliflower crust.
Oh, that's interesting too. Yeah, cauliflower crust too.
We did some recipes at Whole Foods, but it never.
It's tough to get that to go, because again, like when I speak from like watching my pops do it when I see him doing, and the gluten-free bread is like it's there's definitely a science to it and trying to like get it to kind of to be like how normal bread is. I remember when they first started coming out with like gluten-free breads,
right?
It just tasted like cardboard and was like gross. And like now there's companies that have really dialed it in, and you can't even like tell the difference between it.
We haven't delved too much into it. I'm sure at some point we'll come up with a recipe.
Yeah, but if you got the cauliflower, that's a great like substitute.
Yeah, that's substitute. Yeah, and then there's a lot of bonding agents. When you're doing these, so you got to find like the right banana or like applesauce. As a bonding, or like the xanthan gum, and people are like, I don't like the xanthan gum. Let's try the applesauce. Let's bond it with like tapioca starch and all these other things. So there's a lot to go. And then I know Caputo has a pretty good flour people have been talking about, and I have our food reps have been like, oh, you got to try the gluten-free flour like Caputo's doing. And I'm just like, I don't have as much experience in the gluten-free realm as I should, because I love gluten. So, but
I'm a big gluten guy.
I know. It's like the higher I know. So, and we ferment our dough for a few days, so it's like the gluten content, it kind of like dies out a little bit, so it's not as strong. Yeah. So the thing too is like people are making dough like the same day, and like you serve pizza from the dough you made that same day. It's like chances are the gluten's still developing, and that's to me is the point when you start getting like the belly aches. And so just hold your dough out, let it sit in the fridge for a few days, and then make pizza out of it, and you'll definitely see the difference.
Do you like sushi?
I love sushi.
You ever thought about doing like a sushi pizza?
Probably.
They're like, I tried one down in LA and it was really good. They had like the wonton, like cracker chips on top of it. And they had like sashimi and everything. It was pretty good. They had like some glaze, like soy sauce glaze on it. And I was like,
that's funny you say it. There was when I was competing, I think it's called the International Pizza Challenge at the World Pizza Games.
Yeah.
And I competed against a gentleman from Hawaii, and he did a poke pizza. And he had that. So he had it was delicious. And he did well, I think. I'm not sure if he won or not, but he let me have a slice of it, and it was delicious. It was perfect. Yeah. And it was basically like a poke stack, Yeah. And he had like the avocado and then like the nagi sauce, and it was, So I don't know if I could go, maybe if you did like a dough that kind of represent like a wonton.
Something like that.
That'd be delish. But the crumbled wontons on top,
Yeah.
But love sushi. But churros are our spot.
What about like I know like Taco Bell was really big on like the Mexican pizza,
pizza?
and they
Yeah,
just brought
yeah.
it back. You ever thought about going and trying something like that kind of too?
Yeah, we did Whole Foods again. You know,
Yeah.
they had the burrito bar station. So yeah, we used to do like
That's
the Cinco
awesome.
Mop. Again, I'll send you photos of
Yeah.
that. We did. I did a nacho pizza. Pretty much, you know, they had like
A nacho pizza?
Yeah, they had like the
Dude, sign me up.
yeah. It was just the burrito bar. They had like beans, rice,
Yeah.
carnitas, barbacoa. So it's just like endless. And I was like, all right, well, no one's buying burritos, so let's utilize this food
Yeah.
on a pizza. But yeah, I was like, and then dollop like fresh avocado and then crumbled the tortilla chips. And that was I did another pan pizza like out of that one. Another
Yeah.
elaborate, like non-viable pizza. But if you were there to get it in that moment, then
Yeah.
it went quick. But to replicate it would be a lot. But yeah, I think that was and they had the cheese and we did the, our carnitas, but they made the nacho cheese like fresh because it's Whole Foods and you know they have like all the specialty cheeses and they made like a really fancy like nacho cheese sauce and
Yeah.
so I just took the carnitas and just dredged it all up and then stuffed the crust with the cheesy carnitas. Yeah,
That sounds so good.
it was good.
That sounds so good.
That was so long ago. It was like that was like many years ago.
Yeah.
10 or so years ago.
Okay, question. Regular, not this style, but just the regular pizza. Do you eat it like straight or are you a fold kind of guy?
I'll fold.
You'll fold?
But yeah, I always like to taste, taste the crust a little bit.
Yeah.
So taste that first. You would, especially if you don't make it anymore. Like I haven't made dough in a while, but
Yeah.
our team handles all that. So, I like to check it, see how it's going and
Yeah.
taste it first. And then, fold that sucker up and then it's good. I like, I know some people, if you take a pepperoni, they like to dab that grease off, but
Yeah.
I like to fold it. And so all that grease just kind of like
Yeah,
pockets.
so,
And
yeah.
like, good. That's the grease to me. That's so delicious.
I know the grease is awesome. That's
It's
what makes it. That's
it's
what
like
makes
all
it.
the nitrites and all that flavored pepperoni.
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah.
So,
Are you a ranch guy? Do you like
I
dipping your
could-
pizza
I
in
could
ranch?
rock a ranch here and there.
Yeah.
Not
yeah.
so.
What are like your
No,
favorite
not really.
sauces if you want to dip your pizza in? Like, what do you have like particular
I
sauces?
do like the ranch.
Yeah.
I think it was just a California thing. Like we didn't have that in Michigan. So
Yeah.
when we came out here, and I think as a kid, I was like, it was like pineapple. Like we never did pineapple on pizza, back then. But
What are your thoughts on that?
because I did as a kid, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like
Yeah.
it too.
I love pineapple on pizza.
Yeah.
And we do it on, not just a Hawaiian, but, like the barbecue chickens and like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I like the sweet and savory and salty. And for me, it works. So,
Yeah. I feel like if you do it right, it's kind of like, they have this really good salad at Scotts Valley Market that has strawberries in it. And I feel like, I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. Like you wouldn't think like strawberries would be like in a salad, but they put them in there and it's just like, it's really good. Like I think if you do it right
yeah.
and you know what
Totally.
you're doing,
Yeah.
you can rock it. Cause it's just funny. You see on like social media, everyone's like pineapple does not belong
Yeah, I
on
know,
pizza. It's
yeah.
like the biggest,
It's
conversation,
like, I know there's like, I don't know if it's like a yin yang, but it seems to be. And
yeah.
I love it. Even, Maddie got me a pair of socks of like a pizza and a pineapple holding hands, like with these Argyle socks and like there's little
awesome.
hearts over their head. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's meant to be. But it's like anything, like anchovies. I like anchovies on pizza.
Yeah.
It's preference. And, if you don't like it, you don't like it. If you like it, you like it.
Yeah.
Sky's the limit with pizza and, don't order pineapple if you don't want to eat on your pizza.
Yeah.
I think it's delicious.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So now we do have like in Scotts Valley, we have like the Scotts Valley Art and Wine Festival. Do you guys set up a tent out there? Do you go in, or is it, you're just so close? You're like people are coming to you like after. Or
They
like,
come to us after.
Yeah.
Not that we wouldn't, but
you're like right there.
yeah, right there. And it's just so much going
You're
on.
literally
like,
right there.
you know,
Yeah,
it's
they
like-
see you like, let's grab
Yeah.
pizza. Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to if they invite us to come out and be like,
Yeah.
I like doing those events and
Well, because then the
being out
thought is
there.
kind of like going back to the beginning is like the food truck thing. It's like, do you want to like, is that still kind of like a
Yes,
thing
of
you want to
course.
do
Yeah,
at
yeah.
some point? Yeah.
Yep. When I think 2010, I worked on my first food truck. It was at Whole Foods,
Yeah.
and we had I think it's called the Eat Real Fest. It used to be at Jack London Square. Not sure if they have it anymore, but up in Oakland. And then I had to make tacos on this truck, and then there's just the fact that it's like, oh, there's a kitchen inside a truck, and it was not, again, Whole Foods. I was right.
Yeah.
It's just like a $200,000 truck or something, and
Yeah.
not that we go that steep, but it was just nice, and like everyone's coming up, and everyone's like, I don't know, just the whole vibe of it all. Like I clicked, and then I was like, yeah, I want to do that, and I even pitched some like wood fire trailer ovens and like different like pizza truck ideas to regional people at Whole Foods, and actually caught the eye of who was like the vice president at the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So of all
That's
the Whole
cool.
Foods, and he liked it because he was used to be a regional president, and he liked what I was trying to bring all these different elements to the pizza program, and which later turned out to like, they actually eventually started sponsoring me to go to Vegas to compete. So yeah, Whole Foods Market. Yeah. So
they sponsored you?
They sponsored for about 6 or 7 years.
Dude, like no big deal, Matt. Come on,
no, it's
now.
great. And, like,
That's so cool.
I would tell them, I was like, oh, there's these great things, and I want to represent Whole Foods, and it's a great company, and they're like, sure, let's do it, and then they're like, here you go, whatever you need, just go, have fun, and wear our jackets and logos, and they make me my own chef coats, and
that's so
use
cool.
our product, and and then I go out there, and then you realize that everybody competing is buying all their product from Whole Foods because a lot of them can't bring them from the restaurant. So it's like, Whole Foods is like, just go down the street in Las Vegas, buy all your product at Whole Foods. And
so how many people are at these conventions, like these competitions? Like what's the number of like people that are in, like, and then what's the prize? Like if you get first place, like what is that prize?
We haven't competed, or I haven't been one in about 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
But at the time there's quite a bit. The first one I went to was in 2008, and I swear maybe there was 1,500 people in like the whole crowd. It was very small, and I think now they get 15 to 20,000 people. Yeah. So I think the competitions probably, when I competed, there's probably about 50 people that would compete.
So is it kind of like there's a stage and then you go on the stage and you're like in the audience situation?
That's how the door acrobatics was. Like you'd be on the stage and you go there and like watch it. It's amazing. I love door acrobatics. Yeah. It looks cool, but the pizza the baking, like the best in taste and show kind of thing was like kind of on a floor level, but there's like these stands from what I remember. There's like different divisions. Like, they didn't have it back then, but like the pan pizza is like one. So you can compete with this, or, non-traditional, which is like anything goes on a pizza. Then there's traditional, where they give you like an option of like, you could choose from like 3 topping selections, like you only use mushrooms or olives or pepperoni, and then make it the best way you know how to make that possible. And I think the last time I competed, did pretty well. It was like a sausage and peppers. Yeah. So like, let's sausage the peppers and, infuse the sausage with a bunch of yummy stuff. And, and then you do that. And then wood fire, the Napolitana was like a competition. And I'd say about 30 to 50 were in each, but I want to say maybe 100 or more compete in each division now. Whoa. Yeah. Hopefully we're going to go next year too. I want to take our team out there, and
that'd be cool.
Yeah. So I got a couple guys learning the door acrobatics, and they're getting really good at it. So
yeah, one of my moms. So my mom's a voice coach, and she has a bunch of kids from the high school and middle school and Baymont that are coming over and doing that. And one of her old voice students, her mom runs Chianti's in downtown. And so she got on Ellen when Ellen had her show back in the day. And she was like spinning. It was pretty cool to see all that. I mean, it's just like, how long does it take to like really like master that? Obviously, when you hear like, oh yeah, you put like 10 hours of work, hours in of work to like become like a pro at something. Like how long did it take you to like, or like someone
to get like, I guess on a pro level, couple of years. Yeah. Like Chianti's, like there's Justin, who's the main guy at Chianti's, and who's great at spinning dough. And I don't know if it like, sometimes it just comes so natural, like you maybe don't have to put as much effort as you seem to, as like, if it just happens for you. But he's great at doing that. So he's been doing it for years, and I'd say to get to that level, Yeah, but you got to take it's a lot of dedication. So.
It seems
to get to that level, and then you start
spinning it behind the back.
Exactly, and then you do the 1 dough, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, now you got to do the 2 doughs, so that's a whole nother dynamic, and then you get to the 3 doughs, and then
it's kind of like, it gets me thinking. It's almost kind of like they should make a sequel to Cocktail with Tom Cruise, but do it with like for like pizza.
Spinning. That'd be cool. Like I could actually see Chianti's. They should be that. They should have like the mixologist guy who's like,
Yeah.
tosses the dough over to the pizza guy, and the pizza guy tosses the bottle
Yeah.
of like, vermouth to this guy. And then, and it's
Right.
like, there's like a whole show. It's just like this.
Yeah.
I think that'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Yeah.
There you go, Tom. There's another movie for you when you're not doing the 500th Mission Impossible movie. No disrespect, I absolutely love those movies.
He does all his own
I know, he does his
right?
own stunts. It's
I was
crazy.
watching that one where he's like on the plane.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
He's just like,
this is Tom. I was like, he's like, oh. I was
Yeah,
like,
he's like,
okay. Oh, man. I was like, that looks real. That, yep, you accomplished your realism in that one. Like, do your own stunts.
So with pizza, I have to bring up Dave Portnoy and his pizza reviews.
Okay.
Have you seen him before?
I
on
know
social media.
Yeah.
It's interesting watching like kind of him go around to like all these different pizzerias and like having the ratings and stuff like that. Dave, we should get you to come on over to Scotts Valley.
I don't know if does he come out to California?
Yeah,
I know he's a Michigan guy.
Yeah. He's all over the place traveling. It's just funny. I'll be on TikTok or something, and one of his videos will pop up, and it's really cool. They go to like these local spots, and he's just like, he's like, oh my gosh, this is the best pizza I've ever had, and he's like rating them like out of 10 or whatever. He's a funny guy. There's some interesting like commentary that goes on and whatnot, but like when you think of social media, like he's like the pizza guy.
I saw one video. I was like, and he's decked out in Michigan because my family's all raised on Michigan. Wolverines, everything. So my mom, alma mater, and I saw him. He's all decked. I was like, oh, he's a Michigan guy. Like, oh yeah, like I was like, yeah, Dave, come out to California.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll tag it. We'll tag it. Yeah, pizza series.
Yeah, come on out.
That's what's up.
What is it? One bite? One bite? Yeah, one bite.
It's so funny. He literally says, he's like, he's like, one bite, everyone knows the rules. And he takes like 3 or 4 or 5 bites.
I wonder if that's like when he knows it's delicious or like, there's always like really piping. I was like, I just came out of the oven. He's just like, and he goes right to town. I'm like, all right. Yeah.
Oh, it's funny watching. It's funny watching those. So, okay. So we have these two. What are some other like fan favorites that you guys make that people are coming in and they're just coming off the shelves? Didn't you had a pesto one too, right? I think.
Yeah. For the pizza week.
Yeah.
We have quite a few pesto ones.
That's cool.
Yeah. Pesto's delicious.
Yeah.
We're gonna start doing pastas too next week.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we're getting
okay. Well, I know where I'm going for dinner.
Yeah. So pasta's going on the menu next week. We're gonna start doing our sub sandwich, meatball sub sandwiches, and probably some other different sandwiches. So, kind of like on a smaller scale. Like I like to not overdo it too much.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of places are like, here's our full menu.
Yeah.
And
here's everything.
Yeah. So it's like I don't like
focusing in on a particular thing.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, so, it doesn't overwhelm us or the staff or like, never like, when we first opened, like, we sold out a lot and now it's like, okay, well, we know we got to make a lot of dough.
Yeah.
So now we make a lot of dough and like, I don't think we hit sellout points sometimes, but we go through a lot of pizza dough. So.
Well, yeah, it's just like, it's to that point. I used to work down in LA at like a Yard House, and I was like one of the head servers, bartended a little bit too. And, that menu was so huge and it was just like crazy. And so like, it's to your point. It's like, when you like focus in on that one particular thing, it's like, and then you become like, again, you just won like best in the county, in the city for the good times. You know what I mean? Like that's because you have that limited menu, but you're so driven and like, you got to dial.
Yeah.
Like if y'all are in the area, you need to go. I kid you not. It's like the best pizza I've ever had. No joke. That. I'm not just saying that because you're like on this show. No. It's like really, really good stuff, So Matt, if people want to like, we'll put your contact information for like the pizza joint, they can come. And then do you do like catering or anything like that for like parties or stuff, or just people just come by and pick up
eventually we're going to get to like a drop off catering kind of thing.
Yeah.
If it seems something pretty viable that we can do. But at the moment we just have people like, hey, I need 15 to 20 pizzas. We'll make it, they'll pick it up. And then, we'll give them all the amenities that they need. And, but as far as getting out and catering events, I could see that probably in the future.
There we go.
Yeah. So
there we go.
We just got to get the right team. And again, small steps. I know everyone's just like, oh, just go big.
Yeah.
No. We are going big. Our restaurant's 4,000 square feet. So we're still going big. And, we introduce menu items, periodically so as to, not overwhelm us or the staff.
Yeah.
But anything we put on the menu, like it's got to be the equivalent of the pizza. I'm not just
Yep.
gonna throw something on there just to be like, oh, let's get that on the menu. Let's make some money.
Yeah.
It's like, been doing the pasta and, I've been doing this for a while to get something really good. And, and I like us to try it before we try it out on the public. Cause I think if you try it out on the public first, sometimes it might not go well, but you get that.
Hey,
feedback.
if you get like a little like group of people that you're like, hey, we want to test this out, like sign me up. I'll come see you. You let me know. I'll show up.
That sounds good.
I'll be the outside, outside guy. Absolutely love it.
We got the pasta. Yeah, we'll be doing the fresh pasta.
Let me know. I'm there. I got you.
Amazing.
Well, Matt, thank you so much, dude, for coming on. This was a total blast. And everyone, the pizza series in Scotts Valley, California. Again, you got to come here and have it. It is just absolutely like the best piece of. I'm glad that you guys took over that spot too, because it was just so sad sitting there empty. Because it was just for me, it was just a big childhood thing. Yeah. So it's like nostalgic to have you guys in there, and it's like, oh, I know, that's the pizza spot now. So like, congratulations again on all your success. That's like a huge deal on getting that award and everything. And I'm excited to try out the pastas and the sub sandwiches, and when you start rolling those out. But practice makes perfect. So you just do your main stuff, and then we'll go off from there. But thank you for coming on, dude.
Blake. Thank you so much. Yeah, that was great.
All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you next time. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe here on the Red Room Podcast. We really do appreciate it. And if you want the best pizza in California, this is the man that does it. So cheers.